Home is where the heart is, they say. The house where I grew up in the suburb of Linwood, California, provided a sense of comfort, safety, and familiarity that I will always cherish. Our neighborhood was made up of traditional working-class families where moms stayed at home minding the kids while dads left each morning to earn the money that kept these households going. That simpler era and my idea of what home represented began to fall apart around the time I finished high school in the early 1970s. That's when plans got underway for Interstate 105, the Century Freeway, whose construction in the succeeding decades split Linwood literally in half. Many businesses and families, including ours, left Linwood during that time. As the years passed, the neighborhood and city I once called home was scrubbed clean of nearly all familiar features and people. That was my memory, my reality. Rather than stay a permanent stranger from my beginnings, though, I recently returned to the house where I grew up. Who was currently living there, creating their own memories, their own reality? Luckily for me, one of the residents was happy to share her thoughts.
My name is Nayeli Lizondo, and I live in 1222 9 Virginia Avenue. This is like my home. Like, as you can see, there's been a lot of changes. They were going to force us to move out because they built this park where we're at. They never came to a house telling us, oh, you have to leave. They just sent us a letter saying, oh, this is a plan. Yeah. We want to build this park. Maybe you're going to be forced to leave. Right. So thank God we didn't have to leave. I mean, a lot of people think Linwood's a bad city. Mm-hmm. They feel like, oh, it's because it's next to Compton, you know, it's ghetto or whatever. Yeah. But I mean, to this day, nothing has happened to me. I guess the 105, I do think it's like a boundary. It's just right in the middle between us. I mean, that's my dream, is to stay with the house forever. But I mean, who knows? Things could happen. You never could stick to one thing. The house means something to everybody, and hopefully we're not forced to leave because the house is really important to me. I don't participate in Linwood, but I do love Linwood.
So Nayeli is my connection to today's Linwood, but there is still one family that serves as a link to the time before. The family of my high school friends, Ed and Glenn Kanemoto, have lived in Linwood since 1957. Why didn't the Kanemotos move when the bulldozers and cement mixers came in to change everything? Ed was kind enough to share some answers with me.
The Century Freeway was over a decade of political morass. It was a mess. I guess they could have left, but a lot of it had to do with you know, the fact that my father had the church in East LA.
So the only reason your family came to Linwood was because of the business?
It's because of the business, yeah. It wasn't because education or anything like that. It was because of their business. And I think that my parents were always, you know, they sacrificed so much for their family, and they were more concerned about where their family were going rather than where they were. I mean, there was the thoughts of actually moving to start another business, but it just didn't work out that way. I mean, it just so happens that we landed up in Linwood. To tell you the truth, I'd probably would rather have stayed in Torrance.
That neighborhoods and communities change and evolve is a given. It's incredible to think that bureaucratic decisions made in the 1960s resulted so many years later in my pondering and emotional displacement linked to one ordinary house here in Southern California. Perhaps I'll always be on this journey to recapture the joy I knew as a kid in that house. It's a basic human trait, after all, to cherish and cling to that which one experienced as good and comforting. Or maybe, in the words of Maya Angelou, you can never go home again, but the truth is, you can never leave home, so it's all right.